Hi, I'm Kristin Davis, and I want to know, are you a Charlotte? Hello. We are back with Are You a Charlotte? We have a fantastic guest today. Her name is Mireille Enos. I think you will recognize her. The fact that she was actually on Sex and the City is crazy.
A million years ago.
Yeah, it's so special and amazing. And, you know, it's fun for me because when they told me that you, because they looked at all the list of the names of everyone who was in the show, and they were like, Mireille Enos. I was like, I guess. I mean, for me, I wasn't in that scene, right?
No. Yeah. Valerie Harper, Justin Theroux. I mean, it was such an incredible scene to be a part of. And this was actually a big moment in my life. So I had recently moved to New York. I was like, waiting tables and being an art model and hustling.
Right.
And I had recently, there was an agent named Jim Flynn, who I hadn't even met Jim. I had met his assistant who had come to see a showcase, and he had recently been given permission to sign for like actors for commercials or like 3 and under lines, whatever.
Right.
And so the first audition he sent me out on was this.
No.
Yes. Sex and the City, one line.
Wow.
And I booked it. And it was my first paying job in New York City.
Wow.
But I had to pay my SAG dues before I could walk on set. I had $3 in my bank account.
Oh, no.
So I was asking my parents to wire me the money and all this stuff. And so all day long, this little newbie agent was like on the phone. And Jim finally was like, what the heck is going on? Who is this person? So this one line was my first paying job in New York, got me my SAG card, and then ultimately Jim Flynn signed me. Wow. And he was my agent for all the years I was in New York.
Oh, that's so nice. That's a nice story. Yeah. Can I say that everything about it, of course, because you know what was going on in your life, that's so interesting. But when you look at yourself in that scene, you only have one line, but you're amazing.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you.
And here you are with all these people.
Yes, like these wonderful people.
Yeah, incredible people. And how was, like, even with all this background going on, how was the experience?
It was, I remember it being a very happy day, that everyone was kind and they were all just like, you know, actors and in there and telling a story and having some fun.
Right.
And of course, you know, I mean, Sex and the City is so iconic and the storytelling is so wonderful. Yeah, and this episode, I mean, I've seen so many episodes from all the seasons, but this episode I just rewatched. It really stands up. It was a really awesome episode.
It's super interesting.
It really is.
Yeah, I didn't even really remember it.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that Valerie Harper was on the show. We were so excited because all of us grew up, of course, with Mary Tyler Moore and Rhoda. For all of you youngsters, a fantastic kind of one of the, I mean, not original, I guess Lucille Ball would be the first female-driven sitcom.
But she was really...
And pivotal in terms of young women. And she was a career woman, Mary Tyler Moore, and Rhoda was her best friend. So it was in some ways kind of almost a blueprint for Sex and the City in a certain way at a different time, right? So it meant so much to us to get Valerie Harper. Yes. And I remember being so excited about that and kind of like starstruck and didn't know what to say. Yeah. And Sarah Jessica was so excited, which I feel like you can see in those scenes.
Totally. Their scenes together are so wonderful.
They're really good. They're really good. And then we have Justin Theroux for the second time, which is kind of hysterical because this is the second season. Yeah. And I had vaguely remembered that, but I'm not working with him, right? But I know him. He's such a lovely guy. Yeah. And I had completely forgotten about their rather embarrassing storyline.
Yes.
I just remembered that he was on the show, you know what I mean? And that Valerie Harper's on the show. And then when I actually watched what they're talking about.
Hilarious.
It's hilarious, but also like so real.
Yes.
I mean, played for laughs, but yet still so real. Yeah. All right. So let's get back to a little bit of details. Okay. So this episode is called Shortcomings, which is, you know.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, God. And it was directed by Daniel Allgrant, who's a really interesting director. And I honestly can't remember if he came back or not. He had done a movie, an indie. I think is it called Naked in New York? I should have asked you guys this before we started. Get the producers to look it up. He had, you know, there was a time when we would get like indie film directors, especially first season. And he was kind of a second season version of that. Yeah. Then also we're at this point getting a lot of Sopranos directors in the loop. So we've kind of got this interesting mix going on. Yeah. Yes, Naked in New York. That was his indie film in the 90s. So I feel like, people like have a kind of an indie hit back in the day when you could have an indie hit and then they're kind of like the hot ticket.
Yeah.
This was Daniel Algrand and he was very sweet. And this is written by Terry Minsky, which is also interesting because Terry Minsky wrote in the first season, yet was not on the set with us. And I think by the time you came, and I don't know if you would remember this, we had Cindy Shupak and Jenny Bix were our supervising producers / writers.
Right.
So they were around a lot, right? I mean, they were probably so many.
It was. So, it's such a blur.
Of course. So this is my Mireille story. So I did not remember that you were on our show. So when my producer said, Mireille Enos was on the show, I was like, well, definitely call her. What on earth did she play? Because I don't remember. But when you're not there with other people, you don't always know what's going on in the storylines.
And plus you met a lot of people over the course of all those years.
Most definitely. And we didn't sleep.
Yes.
But the reason that it was interesting to me is that when your show, The Killing, came on, I remember watching the opening sequence. You're running in that fisherman sweater. I believe you're in Vancouver on the edge of Stanley Park.
That's right.
A place we all know, all actors know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love her. And she seems so familiar. That was my thought.
That's so sweet.
And I watched the whole thing and you were
flip.
But you're very unique.
Thanks.
And so specific. And when I see you in that scene, because of course I'm waiting with bated breath the whole episode. Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? And then finally you show up and you're just so interesting and so present.
Thank you.
And to think that was your first job.
My first job in New York City.
Incredible. Your first job in New York City. I love that so much.
Yeah.
And that's the joy of being on a show for a while.
That's right.
It's getting to see the talent that they were able to find and pull.
Well, especially a show cast in New York, which just feels like such a tight community of actors. And you see people that are on stage and then they're shooting an episode of a show. And you see the same thing in Only Murders in the Building. All of these wonderful New York actors that get pulled to do episodes. It feels really
It's so
special.
great. So great. So now I'm going to talk about our other connection.
Okay.
So Sarah Jessica's married to Matthew Broderick.
Yes.
Matthew Broderick was in a movie with your husband, Alan Ruck. Way back. When we were young,
I was a kid.
I was of the age to be completely obsessed with Ferris Bueller.
Yes.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I hope all of you have seen this, but if you haven't, you must immediately go watch. It is a classic. And the joy is that they're currently in Vancouver working.
Yes. Yay! 40 years later, Alan Ruck, Matthew Broderick, who originally met doing a Broadway play, Biloxi Blues.
No! I had forgotten that part.
Yes. So
I saw Biloxi Blues.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, that's
it was so incredible.
I bet. So they were already friends.
Yes.
And so then Matthew got Ferris Bueller and then Alan was called in. And of course they got cast together. And so they were already friends when they shot that film. And I feel like you can really feel that in the chemistry and the scene where Alan is on the phone and he's pretending to be. So that was a joke. The voice that he does, that was a joke to crack Matthew up because he was doing an imitation of Gene Saks, who had directed Biloxi Blues. God. That's a little insider.
That's amazing.
Story.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so they've stayed pals all these years, 40 years.
Wow.
And right now they're shooting a movie called The Best Is Yet to Come.
Excellent.
And it's about lifelong male friendship. And it's so just like Alan is having the time of his life. Yeah, it's really.
The last time Matthew was in Vancouver, and this is why Sarah Jessica told me about it, he and I were filming a Christmas movie together in like 100-degree weird August. And he was in a whole tizzy about where to stay. It's always an issue, right? When you go on location, where to stay. And Sarah Jessica was like, where did you stay? Where did he stay last time? Remind me. And so we had to talk it through. And it really made me laugh that, number one, I love the interconnectedness of all of us over time. Mm-hmm. And number two, the HBO of it all is hysterical.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, like to watch Ellen, throughout his career, Spin City, so many amazing things, but then Succession.
I mean, I know.
So
what a special experience. Yeah. I mean, that was
amazing.
Really,
And he played such a hard character.
Yeah.
But you loved him.
Yes. You love him. And he's also kind of a sociopath. And he's a dum-dum and also like heartbreaking. And like all the things.
That's very hard.
It's very hard.
Very, very hard. Line. He's amazing.
He is. Thank you.
So
I know.
I love to have you on and I love all the connections. It's always a joy to like the Kevin Bacon 6 Degrees of, it's very, everyone's very connected. And that is, I think, one of the joys of our job.
Well, when you're in a career for like a long time, that just happens, people's paths cross and you work with each other's spouses and it's great.
It's a joy.
Yeah.
It's a joy. All right. Let's break down this episode a little bit because sometimes it's just fun to chat.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to do my rewatch.
Yeah.
But it was very entertaining for me also to rewatch because sometimes I have a lot of memories more behind the scenes, what was going on that day.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I really remember the plot and sometimes I don't.
Yeah. Well, that was early too, season 2.
It's true. And in my mind, I thought that we had Justin Theroux in season 1, which is, he also plays a writer, which is so weird.
That is very
What
weird.
was going on with us?
Yeah, that he got cast again.
Yes,
twice
as a writer. As
yeah.
a writer, though we shaved his hair. That was like, and put some glasses on him.
Yeah, now he's a different person.
Exactly. He's a different person, but he's adorable as both. But he plays a slightly unlikable writer in each, which is also interesting.
That is interesting.
Like the first one, he's like super slick and he's just gotten like invited to parties and stuff. And she also gives the writer advice as someone who's a writer. Carrie is obviously a writer and in the, thick of it in terms of Manhattan nightlife. Yeah. And then this one, she's giving him advice. He says, I'm going to be in GQ. It's almost like the same part, but different. It's interesting. Yeah. And it's the kind of thing, and I, certainly don't want to dwell on this, but we just did, and just like that. And people got very obsessed with every little detail, very upset about every little detail. I'm like, back in the day, all kind of stuff went on.
That's right.
What I mean? Yeah. And no one said anything. I don't know if anyone noticed.
Probably not. I think we're in a new moment of people wanting to be in on every single detail and wanting to have an opinion and
say their opinion
and it changes.
And they have a way to say it.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a platform now, which there wasn't.
I think this would have been the year 2000. Do you think that's right?
I think that's right.
Right. Which is, I mean, it seems like another lifetime ago. Things were so different.
Yeah. So, I was in my 20s.
Oh my God. Adorable. Adorable. You look like you're in your teens.
I do. I have such a baby face, actually.
And your hair.
I had forgotten what I looked like in it and rewatching. I was like, oh my God, I look 17.
You really do. But beautiful. So beautiful. And you seem sophisticated because you're sitting there with those people who are all like very New York intelligentsia, type thing. I love it. Anyway, back to the show. So this is to me, kind of a departure of a show.
Yeah.
Like there are certain things about it, like for instance, the coffee shop. For some reason, we're all plastered next to each other.
Yes.
Did you notice this?
Yes.
Like our shoulders are literally touching. You're like squeezed what's going on? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. And then there's like a walk and talk where we're also like they're like anyway, that was interesting. I mean, we're kind of finding our way in certain ways, and I think also when different directors would come, we were more affected by them than later on. Yeah. Later on, we just be like, no, this is what
we're doing. You had found your own rhythm.
And your kind of confidence within that. But it's also, I found it, especially in the coffee shop scene, because now we do have our coffee shop set. In the beginning, we're like out and about in different places, right? Yeah. So it's funny in the coffee shop, but we're like peppy. You know what I'm saying? Like really energized repartee is in full force, which I really enjoyed. Yeah. It was nice to see. We seem happy, which I'm sure we were exhausted, but it has a lot of energy, right? Yeah.
And it seems like you guys really enjoy each other and
I know. And Sarah Jessica seems super bubbly. Yeah. And also I think it's very hot. When I look at that, what I remember, there's like the very hot summers and then the not so hot summers, like medium. Her hair is like its natural self, and she's just radiant. And I feel like we were all hot, but it was great. It was a fun hot.
I love that moment she bangs on the glass and sees you guys inside.
It's a classic. It's a classic. See, that also snuck up on me because I think the way social media is now, you see these little snippets and you're like, yes, of course I remember that. That was at the height. Yeah. No, it's early. Yeah. And I think that the theme of this episode, which is family is difficult. Yes. And family is also your chosen family. You choose to be your family. Which I love so much. And I had no idea that we had that theme really explicitly in there so early.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, and each of your individual storylines are, I mean, you have your brother, obviously, who is your real family.
Which is so strange.
Yeah. But there's also like the other women are like in these little transitional, it's not people that are going to stay.
Right.
Which just like shines light on how special the four of you are together.
That's true.
As
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because my brother, we never see or hear from him again.
No.
Including my 2 weddings.
Yeah. Oh, right. She's not at either of your weddings. That's hilarious.
I know. I'm really sorry. He works a lot. He was on Ozark. He played an evil lawyer. I was like, oh, there's my brother. My long
right? One episode brother.
Exactly. I mean, now that I'm rewatching, I'm trying to glom on any little details.
Yeah.
And to have my brother there in his like preppy shorts.
Yes.
It's very interesting. We did have an episode before where I talk about how in my waspy family, we don't talk about feelings, we play tennis. Which is kind of funny because we've had a tennis storyline for Charlotte like literally for 30 years.
Yeah.
You know? So the brother comes, we'll just do this really quick because the brother's so weird. Like we never see any of Charlotte's other relatives. Yeah. No parents, nothing, right? It's bizarre. So the brother comes, he is getting divorced from his wife. And I tell you guys that he's coming to visit because he's getting divorced.
Yes.
And everyone makes fun of me. I tell you guys like you're in this scene. You're one of us now. And everyone makes fun of Wesley and Leslie, which is also like so preppy and funny, right? And very fine to make fun of. But of course, Charlotte really is tired of getting made fun of at this point. Do you know what I mean? So I make all kind of faces at them, which is also funny. Yeah. And then, and weirdly, I guess not weirdly, Charlotte's very pro-marriage, as we know.
Yeah, as we know. And she really is committed to them getting back together and working it out.
And she keeps kind of slightly irritatingly asking him, like, did you talk to Leslie? Did you talk to Leslie? How's Leslie? And he's like, no. And then I do kind of love in the end, and this is what I do, I just synopse down. Yeah. When he says, I believe he says I hadn't gotten laid or whatever, which is a bit weird of a way to talk about your wife, but whatever. Yeah. In 2 years. And then Charlotte looks kind of horrified. Yes. Which is interesting. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. So so basically what happens is that Samantha sleeps with my brother, which clearly Charlotte knows is going to happen, which is why I don't invite Samantha. But then Carrie brings Samantha.
Brings her. And you're horrified that she's there and
like awkward and interesting. And also sometimes when I watch it, I can tell, there's occasionally scenes with the 3 of them without me. I can tell that I'm like a newer friend. Yeah. And there is a scene when we flash back to the 80s and all of them are together and I'm not there. And you're not there, right. Because they hadn't met me yet. But we never explain that either. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. But I can feel that when I watch this episode because I pull Carrie over and I'm like, why
and
did
she's
you bring
like,
her?
that's Samantha, our friend.
Right. Yeah. Which is also really funny and interesting. But I did, and then, my producers, when they watched it, they were like, oh, you shouted her really harshly. The thing that I thought was so interesting about it, for Charlotte, it is harsh to say that, she should be on a guidebook of New York because her, station is always open, so to speak. That it is, of course, a harsh thing for Charlotte to say. Yeah. But the thing that I find interesting is the way Samantha talks about sex. Yeah. And herself. Yes. Not in a derogatory way, but just in a very free way. Yes. It's interesting that then she would take offense to me. Yes. Saying that, but then I guess that also is kind of true. Like sometimes if you say something about yourself.
Yes, you can talk about yourself in ways that you don't want other people to talk about you. And what seemed to be true in that scene is that where Samantha is very comfortable talking about sex in that way, Charlotte, it felt like new ground for Charlotte to be so direct to her friend, and so that felt like that was where the
definitely
the discomfort came.
I would never say anything like that, right? To one of my girlfriends, and I saw something recently about. I do feel like one of the joys of when I compare things now to things back then is that female friendship. I feel like is much more honored and kind of discussed and. Prioritized now as opposed to back then. Back then, they'd say like, how did you guys spend so much time together and stuff like that, which of course, obviously, obviously they were young and somehow had a lot of time spent together, which people do. I remember spending a lot of time with my girlfriends in my 30s. But I also think that now people talk about it and talk about how important it is and that, like to nurture friendships, through your life and through the different phases of your life is so important. And I think that's so incredibly true. And I also think it's so incredibly risky to say something to your girlfriend that they wouldn't like.
And that can be the end of a friendship.
It really could.
Depending on who you say that to, that could be like game over.
I know, which is so sad. I know, but I also think it's so interesting because I think that women, have to kind of, like, I think on the one hand, there's this kind of perception of like, oh yes, women just hang out in groups, like it's like kind of silly or whatever. But then in reality, we all know that it's not really that easy.
Yes, it can be tricky to hang out with women. And then you find your women who are like your people. Right. And then it's like, those are the most supportive, wonderful relationships in the world.
And so important.
Yeah, but female relationships can be really tricky.
Right. And I think it's because I don't think it's something for my generation, at least, that was kind of like worked on or encouraged. Like you weren't really taught how to be friends. I mean, like it does come easy when you're young, but then I think as you go through the different stages, it's not so easy. Yeah. And certainly as an actor, I know that one of the joys of getting this show was that there were a bunch of women
around
that you knew, okay, we're all in this together rather than being the wife or the girlfriend, or like you might see another woman actor, but you'd be like, oh, there they go. You might not get a scene with them. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, have you found that in your career?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with guys.
Right. Yeah. Because you play cops and like serious people.
I know. I get cast as like little toughies.
Which is so funny.
It's so silly,
I'm envious though. I'm very envious.
It's fun getting to do, for everyone, obviously getting to do a balance of things is obviously the ideal.
Of course, yes.
But yeah, I've gotten cast in lots of movies where it was like a bunch of tough dudes and me. And I'm like, they're great, but also like it does feel lonely sometimes to be like, oh, where are my girlfriends?
Yeah. I think it's really lonely. I mean, I love to be on the set with all the girls.
Yeah.
Oh, I love nothing more.
Yeah.
Nothing more.
Really fun.
I mean, the guys are fun, but like, it's comfy to have the girls.
Yeah.
It's definitely comfy. It's one of the best parts of this whole long-term job that I've had. I love it so much. And that's really why I never want it to end, because it's hard to find that.
It is very hard to find those special groups.
Yeah.
That you stay friends with forever.
Right. And that's the joy, is that like with Matthew and your husband, Alan, it's amazing to get to meet someone so early in your career and stay friends and get to work together again. That is just the best.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, let's go back to the show.
Okay.
This makes me laugh. I do not remember the storyline of Miranda, not for 1 second. So I was watching it fresh.
Yes.
In this storyline, she is at the gym, which is also kind of funny to me. I'm like,
do we see her at the gym ever?
I don't think so.
No, not really.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So Miranda is interestingly at a very popular and busy New York City gym.
Yes.
And she's there on the weekend, which is apparently kids' weekend. I've never gone to a gym.
And had children running around?
No
way.
I mean, very interesting. I would have to ask Terry Minsky, who wrote this, like if this was based on something, because that was a rule that they had.
That things had to be real.
Yeah. So I guess there were some gyms this was happening at. I didn't go to those gyms either. So there's like children running amok, basically at this gym. So then she's all kind of rolling her eyes in her Miranda way. She looks adorable.
Yes.
Like it's just so cute, early Miranda.
Yeah.
And then she gets in the elevator and there's this very handsome dad there with a kid who wants to push the buttons of the elevator. We've all been there.
Yes, we have.
I have a 7-year-old. It's a situation. Yeah. And I felt so kind of seen on the one hand by the storyline, but also embarrassed because I have been the parent saying, please
don't touch the button. Could you 100%. And then of course they touch too
It's
many.
so mortifying. I mean, what is that about with children? It's so interesting. So interesting. So anyway, the dad asks Miranda not to push the buttons and the kid then pushes all the buttons. And then the dad apologizes and the dad's very adorable.
Yeah, cute.
And does find a way to mention that he's divorced, which I thought was really smooth on his part.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you can see Miranda kind of look at him twice like, interesting. So then he asks her, she gets out of the elevator and he asks her to come back in and she does, which is so cute. And adorable.
Very cute.
Very New York kind of a thing. But the kid, I felt for the kid because clearly this man seems relatively newly divorced. We don't hear his whole story.
But you can feel that he's still
right?
figuring out what that looks like and how to do it.
Right. And
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes as the episode went on, I wondered, like, where is this mother?
Yes.
Because apparently she's just not around.
Not around, yeah.
Because he's got this kid a lot.
Yeah.
But also as a single mom, I also really relate. Now, I
Yeah.
have never taken my children with me on a date because I never really would.
No.
I mean, it is like a park later, right? Like, what do you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like months later if it's going well.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah,
I would
but
be
on a
so
first date,
nervous.
stroll in the park.
With the kid.
With the kid.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But I also feel this is probably not nice what I'm going to say, but sometimes I feel like dads are clueless.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's true.
Like I'll see dads at the park sometimes, but sometimes I'm just like, what is this dad doing? Like, can a mom tell the dad, like, don't let the kid do that? You know what I'm saying? I have some anxiety for the dads.
Yes. Well, case in point, I mean, the boy clobbers Miranda over the head with a branch and then isn't disciplined.
No. I know it.
Right?
The dad doesn't seem to know what to do.
Yeah. Poor Miranda.
I know it.
She gets clobbered.
I know, with a pretty big stick in Central Park. And that's before he hands her a worm, I believe.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot going on.
Yes.
And Miranda hangs in there, which is also kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it's like early Miranda is different.
Yeah.
She's sweet. I mean, she has her cover, but she's also got like a sweetness.
Yes, she does.
It's adorable. But this guy does seem kind of clueless, you know, this dad, but he's really cute. And at a certain point, they do cut to them in bed and they look very happy.
Yes.
So it seems like
they've
the
had a
sex is
very
good.
nice time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's what she's doing. I don't know. But this also cracked me up. After we first meet the guy, whose name I can't remember, because he's not going to be around long, so we don't have to use his name. They cut to us at the coffee shop, and Miranda is talking about how, his name is Roger. And Miranda's talking about because he's divorced, he seems used. Isn't that a weird thing?
It's a weird thing to say. No, that's true. I thought that conversation was, it was a little funny. It was a little odd.
It's dated. It didn't hold up well.
Super dated. No, it is.
We would never say that now.
Absolutely not. Just because somebody has been married, I mean, you could also say that anyone who has been in a long-term relationship. You just fell off the microphone.
No, leave it down there. Leave it down there.
Okay.
It's fine with me.
Okay. That anyone's been in a long-term relationship is used.
Right.
That's not.
No, it's horrible and insane.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
There'd be no one left.
That's right. Because everybody comes with a context.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Unless you're 18 years old, like.
Right. And who would want to be doing that? So I really was like, when they kind of smash cut into her going like, it's like he's used. And I thought, what is she talking about? Like
That's
I had
true.
to really catch up a minute.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we'd ever say that now.
No way. No way.
Right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Like you'd just be very out of touch if you said that.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was interesting. That whole conversation was interesting. But this is why I like to rewatch, because some things you're like, oh, whoa. And then sometimes you're like, that's still totally
holds.
true.
Yeah.
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 And I do think trying to juggle children and dating is, of course, universal and will probably continue for all of time.
That's right.
And is a real thing. I mean, this guy's just not very good at it.
Yeah.
And also, I feel bad for this kid because he seems like he's really suffering, but he seems jealous of
that conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, maybe there's a clue in the fact that this guy says, I'm the anomaly. Actually, I just like to be married. And so, right. And so maybe he's just like actually trying to slot Miranda into this family dynamic faster than is
That's
appropriate.
a good point. I didn't think of that. Yeah, because that is really odd that he says that.
It
I mean,
is.
I just found myself wondering, like, what is this dude's backstory? What happened?
Yeah.
What happened to the marriage? Where's the wife? What's going on? Where's the ex-wife? How long have you been divorced? I wanted to know more about him than I normally want to know about our like one-off
But then
dates.
also, we haven't quite gotten there, but his reaction in the next scenes where the boy, I don't know if you want to do the little recap.
Go for it, because I enjoy that.
So it's after, she spent the night and Miranda's having a pee and the little boy starts to come in the bathroom. And of course she goes to close the door and he gets his head bonked. And then there's like a real overreaction, I feel like, on the dad's part. And basically Miranda just gets like shown the door.
Right. Yeah. He says, please leave. He says it a couple times.
Yeah.
This is one thing I do remember of that episode is that there was a lot of discussion about his wound, the kid's wound.
Right, yeah.
Because when you see it, it's bloody. How
Yeah.
did that door make that blood? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's mysterious.
Yes.
And I remember there being a fair amount, I don't know at that point in time of our production, like how sophisticated our stuff was. Do you know what I mean? Whenever you have somebody get bumped or get banged or anything like that, because we don't see him, we just hear it, right?
Yeah.
And then cut to there's blood, you know, which is strange. But I also felt like if we did know more about the dad, I mean, I've certainly overreacted before.
Well, yeah, of course. I have 2 kids. I've definitely overreacted.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's also weird how like the kid kind of looks at her over the shoulder. Like there's something kind of going on where you're like, he just wanted her to go.
Yes, yeah, poor Miranda.
I know, and poor the kid.
And poor the kid.
Everybody,
poor
really.
everybody.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad because then we really don't hear that much. It's just gone.
Yeah.
But, you know, good that she tried, I guess. But also that's like another show. I feel like that needs its own show.
I wonder which season does Miranda get her own child? That's not.
It's for a while.
It's a while, but I feel like it was
a
a little like just early crumb.
100%. And because I was thinking the same thing when I was watching it, because I do know at a certain point, season 3 is when I meet Kyle and get married and then start to try to get pregnant. Yeah. And then she gets pregnant by mistake. So it's not that long. It's because we're almost at the end of 2. But I don't know, because this is Terry Minsky's script and she wasn't with us all the time. Mm-hmm. And it was definitely like a long-term plan that Michael had that both Miranda and Charlotte would get pregnant at the same time. That was the original plan. Okay. It didn't work out because then Michael decided, probably rightly so, that because all of our female writers were single and none of our guy writers, who I think there were 2 of them at that time, no one had children. So they were having to mine their friends' stories.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't have enough to have 2 sets of stories because they wanted them to be contrasting stories. Yes, of course. Which would be interesting. Yeah. But not as interesting as Charlotte not being able to and Miranda
accidentally.
And then being unsure and all of the...
No, it's part of what I just love about the show is that each of these women's expectations of what their life is going to be gets flipped on its head. Yeah. And so they're having to manage like their own expectations of what their life has become. Yeah. It's powerful.
It is powerful and so true to life. You know, someone asked me yesterday, I don't know if you get questions like this. You're not as old as I am, but you know, people love to ask you about aging, right? You know, how are you looking at aging? How do you feel? How old do you feel inside? You know, all the questions, right? Yes. And I mean, I feel very young inside. I feel like 40 maybe. Or, I mean, it's hard to put a number.
Right. You know, whatever. Yes. Like some days, like my husband, who I won't say his name, but like, he's like, when he looks at his own age, his eyes get real big. And he's like, how is it literally possible? I still feel 18 some days.
Oh, I don't know. I don't personally know how it's possible for me either. I mean, you have to look sometimes at your driver's license to be like, what? That is me.
It doesn't compute at all.
Totally. But I think that is a blessing, right? Because what does it really even mean?
That's true.
The good news of what it means, and this is what I end up saying, I mean, I think it means 2 things. Number 1, we're doing great. Yeah. We're healthy. Doing great. We're happy, right? Yeah. We're still in it. We're still functioning. We're doing new things, right? This is great. This is what you want. Secondarily, I remember a lot of anxiety in my 30s. Right. That I don't have now.
Anymore. Yeah.
And some of it is what you touched on about our characters is that you have expectations. You don't know what's going to happen.
That's right.
You don't know if you're on the right track towards those expectations. Yes. Or if maybe you need to change your expectations.
That's right.
You know, there's so many questions like, is it all going to work out?
And what do I need to do to tick the boxes that equals happiness?
Right. And in reality, you know, none of that is probably even really true. And that's what I love so much about our writers. I mean, some of it's true. Like, did Charlotte truly want to be married? She did.
She did. Or she really wanted the idea of what that was.
She did. And then she found out that the outer idea was not what she wanted. Yeah. Right. And then she found her real person. Thank God. Thank God she was able to change and grow. And that was their idea. Yeah. And their idea also was to never give any of us what we wanted because you don't have a show then. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, I am lucky that Charlotte got Harry. I guess I should be, you know, lucky that like nothing happened to him or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that's
Thank
right.
God. Because it was such a growth. I think for Charlotte, And that what I like about her, she's super persistent, right? So she was going to pursue, no matter what the roadblocks were, right? Like she couldn't get pregnant, she was going to adopt. Then she does get pregnant. She's going to roll with it. She's going to roll with it.
Yeah.
And I love that effort that she makes. But I also think that her ability to roll with it, brings her depth and wisdom and changes her focus, though sometimes she drifts back, which is also what's so interesting. Like you'll drift back to the details.
To the things that are the most kind of comfortable and from the way you grew up or whatever it is.
Totally. Yeah. Or like the expectations, like you started by saying, you'll drift back to those expectations and then be reminded again,
that's not,
it's not actually life. It's not actually what's important, which I love. I can't talk about the others' expectations as much as I can talk about Charlotte's.
Of course, you lived hers for so long.
Right. And I love hers, and I had to think through hers, for so long, which, is a joy, right? Obviously, like a great character thing. Yeah. But it's interesting too, because if you think about Carrie's expectations are interesting. And one of the things I think about when I do, I think because our show ended and everyone had to talk about how And Just Like That ended versus how Sex and the City ended, because people were upset. Obviously, when Sex and the City, the first show ended because everyone was coupled up and they didn't feel like that rang true. Yeah. But sometimes when I'm watching old episodes, it kind of seems like everyone but Samantha wants to be coupled up.
Yes.
Like even Miranda. Yeah. Who I had never clocked.
Right, because she seems like such a driven career woman.
Right.
But, I mean,
everyone wants love, right?
Love
and what does that look like?
Companionship.
Yes.
And,
right.
to be
not
seen
everybody, maybe. To be seen, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, Samantha definitely wants to be seen.
For sure. But doesn't really want a relationship.
Right. But then she gets one.
It's
one. Coming.
But that's like her flip, is that she actually wants to keep it easy breezy short term.
Right.
And she gets this long-term relationship with a younger man.
Yeah.
And then has to deal with cancer and all of,
And he's there for her in such a sweet way. That's going to be so interesting. I want to have that Jason Smith on. He's so good. You guys, this is so much fun that we are going to have a part 2. So join us later in the week on Are You a Charlotte?